Hi, welcome back to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that keeps you up to date with players that have been linked with the transfer move to Arsenal, a summer transfer move to Arsenal, should I say, because I remember in the comment section of my Monday video, I am still on loan for Robbie, may I say, as I was celebrating the fact that I nailed the intro. Someone reminded me that I hadn't said that it was a summer transfer move to Arsenal. So anyway, but there we go. Of course, as we know, we've got just over a week left of the summer transfer window, and things are starting to hot up a little bit again for Arsenal. We've got to give the club credit. They got a lot of their business done very early. A lot of those players like Zinchenko, Gabriel Jesus, for example, starting those two, the big, pre-season games. We're looking at Chelsea, we're looking at Sevilla, 10 goals scored, 2 clean sheets, and Arsenal looked fit and firing, and that's carried on into the first 3 games of the season. So we've got to give the club credit, because we've always said, get the players in early, get them ready, give them a full pre-season, and maybe we can start well. And we have. We made a better start than any other team in the league so far in terms of the 3 wins out of 3. Now, you can talk about the run, you can talk about the opponents, but Arsenal have looked good and they've done well. Can they add that little bit more firepower? Can they add that little kind of icing on the cake, I suppose, that can carry us through to have maybe even a better season than a lot of us were even expecting? A lot of talks about top 4. Can we add a trophy to that? Can we maybe push for 3rd? Could we even do something surprisingly out of the blue a little bit better? You never know in the world of football. And it's, the chances of getting that going, it's down to signings, it's down to depth, it's down to added quality, because we know we've got a base there that's brilliant. And if we can get that little bit extra, then maybe we could be really hopeful for a good season. And that little bit extra might be Pedro Neto. And the links, the talks, everything we've been hearing since Monday morning, that hasn't really changed. Let me just read you what we've got here, that Pedro Neto is still being linked with the move to Arsenal. He was on the bench for Wolves' EFL Cup game over Preston, and they went for quite a strong team. I had a little look at their team there. It was a strong 11. He was left on the bench, but he did come on to play about 30 minutes. And this is what Bruno Lage had to say when he was asked about the links. He said, "I have heard that, but nothing has come to us. It's normal now with the good players that we have. Teams are looking for good players, and the same we are looking for Gonzalo Guedes, Matheus Nunes, and Nathan Collins. No one has told me anything about any proposal." Now, this isn't completely surprising, guys, for multiple reasons. Why would he talk about a player potentially leaving if there's a chance they want to sell him, if they want to have a better negotiation position when it comes to, fee discussions with Arsenal? He's not going to come out and go, yeah, it's true, he might leave. He's never going to say that. But also, I actually think he's probably telling us the truth because, well, not fully the truth, but it's actually Jorge Mendes. We found out on Monday that it's Jorge Mendes that's the mediator between the two. It's Jorge Mendes who's, been at the heart of a lot of the big business the Wolves have done since their return to the Premier League, 3-4 years ago. But at the same time, he's now the one also potentially negotiating this outgoing, and he is Pedro Neto's agent. And as we know from David Ornstein, Arsenal have talked to Mendes, who has talked to his client and also Wolves. So it's not completely surprising what Bruno Lage is saying there. I said something in the news show with Cecil the other day on Monday night. The good news about all of this is it's not going to drag on in the way the Rafinha stuff dragged on. There's only, just over a week. I think tomorrow is a week to go till deadline day. We're not going to see this, go on for 2-3 weeks. Suddenly a load of teams will come in, in the second week or whatever. If anyone's interested, we're going to find out about it now. And if a move's going to happen, we're going to find out about it probably in the coming 3, 4, 5 days. I'd be amazed if this really goes quiet till Sunday, Tuesday, and then bam, things start happening. But you never know in the transfer window. So it is one to keep an eye on. It would, I think, represent Arsenal's last big marquee signing, last big sort of summer splash, summer spend, and that kind of opportunity for Arteta to bring in some real firepower. I think Pedro Neto is the one. If something's going to happen, it could be him. I know we've been linked to Mudryk as well. I talked about him earlier in the week. But I think Arteta's really looking for that Premier League proven player that's going to come in and do a job immediately and allow for the likes of Saka and Martinelli to get rests when needed. So we'll keep an eye on this. But yeah, interesting that he wasn't involved in the game yesterday, considering they went for a strong 11 and, hearing what Bruno Lage has to say. But that is not completely and utterly surprising. Let's talk about some outgoings now, and one that could be a permanent, where a lot of his outgoings have been loans options in the last couple of years, and that is Ainsley Maitland-Niles, of course. Set to leave by transfer deadline day. Some of the clubs interested are West Ham United, Bournemouth, Fulham, and apparently 2 European clubs as well. According to the Express, the Gunners are looking to get this versatile midfielder off their books. We know he's also played at right back. He's played multiple positions. And also as a midfielder, I mean, what is he? Is he a 6 that kind of sits and protects in front of the defence? Is he more of a box-to-box? We know he's got the energy, the dynamism for it. Or is he quite creative? I mean, he is someone who I don't think has always shown his creative instinct, but he's quite neat on the ball. He's quite, what's the word? He's quite calm, composed, elegant on the ball, I suppose. He's got that kind of very laid-back demeanour, which I think is part of his strength. It's what allows him to just be very composed on the pitch, and when he is playing, just really kind of get into a good rhythm in the game. So you mentioned some of those clubs. I mentioned some of those clubs that have been linked there. West Ham, Bournemouth, Fulham. I mean, he'd be a starter at Bournemouth, I think, absolutely. Fulham would be a good move for him. I think he'd stay in London. They're doing really good stuff since arriving in the Premier League. What's that? Two wins and a draw. I think my thing with Fulham is he looking for a club that's probably more guaranteed in terms of Premier League status over the coming years? But then who is guaranteed Premier League status? West Ham, 3 defeats on the bounce, to start their campaign. Fulham, on the other hand, have got 7 points out of 9 already. So, yeah. He's got some options there. Would he even start at West Ham? Maybe. Souček, I know, has been a bit up and down. So we'll keep an eye on what happens to him, but it's going to be a permanent move. He's not going to get another loan. I think his contract runs out next summer. I might be wrong about that, but I think I saw that somewhere. So it leaves you in a position where if Arsenal are going to recuperate any funds for him, it's got to be now. And what are we looking at? 5, maybe 10 million at best. This is a player who would have gone for maybe 15, 20 million 2 years ago. So we will see what happens with Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Another outgoing is 19-year-old prospect Salah Eddin Uladimhan, who's joined Hull City on loan. Look, I always think there's a couple of players we've seen go to the Championship now, Charlie Patino being one of them, Austin Trustees at Birmingham. Who was it? Brooke Norton-Cuffy has made a move to the Championship as well. And I think this is really good. We saw the way Emil Smith-Rowe benefited from loans to the Championship. It's worked for him. It's worked for a couple other players. And we also know the loan system is looking at the Championship as well as the French Liga, where we've got Bellerin, Balogun, Nuno Tavares thriving. We've had William Saliba do really well there over the last couple of years. So those are clearly 2 markets and 2 leagues that Arsenal are very happy sort of loaning out to. They think that there's clearly good development to be made there, and history would suggest that they're picking good areas for these moves to work, for these players to develop. And what I would say is every club's different, every environment's different, but when you've got an academy like Hale End, you don't want to be just sending them out anywhere and saying, yep, listen, go play, we'll see. I think there's a lot of thought and a lot of time and a lot of just consideration going into where we're sending these players out on loan and ensuring that the development is perfect for when they come back. Now, I believe that there was rumours that this might be a season-long loan, but he will end up there long term. We will see what happens with Salah Eddin there. He was one that was very highly rated. I hope he gets a chance, but he's 19. When he comes back, he'll be 20. And is there going to be room in the first team? What with Xhaka doing well? Talks of another midfielder who we've got to talk about in a second. The likes of Lokonga as well. So we'll see how much space there is for a player like Salah Eddin going forward. And that midfielder I did mention. It's a name that you'll be so bored of hearing. You'll be so bored of hearing. And it's Youri Tielemans. Apparently the asking price has dropped. They're saying about 20 million, according to Dutch outlet Het Nieuwsblad. I hope I've pronounced that right. I almost definitely haven't, but there we go. Original price was supposedly about 35-40 million. What they paid to get him in 3 years ago, I think, after a successful loan spell. Look, I love Youri Tielemans. I think he's also a kind of player we need in the squad. Now we're seeing Xhaka play more box to box and getting in, those late runs to the back post and all that. I think Tielemans is slightly different. I think he's more of a... You remember when Santi Cazorla dropped deeper and he played alongside Coquelin with Ozil in front of him? I think that's more what Youri Tielemans is. He's a kind of very elegant player, very good close control, can be creative, can get goals from midfield. You'd have heard Robbie talk about this a million times, so I don't need to go on. I think he is a slightly different profile to what we have in the squad, and I think he could take some of the creative load off a player like Martin Odegaard, and you got someone like Fabio Vieira, so there'll be a lot of creativity in this Arsenal team. Can't not talk about Emil Smith-Rowe as well. He's one of those creative players as well. So, listen, just I hope this gets wrapped up soon. And we're going to find out in the next week. It reminds me a lot of the Thomas Partey deal, where we were hearing something all summer, and there was some, reports that you felt you could buy into, but a lot of it was just, he says this, she says that, a lot of sort of, back and forth, what's going on, a lot of, Arsenal are waiting, Arsenal trying to drive the price down, Arsenal will get it done at the last minute. So again, this one, where I said with Pedro Neto, I'd be surprised if we don't hear anything till in the days, in the next 3, 4, 5 days. I think with Youri Tielemans, it might just be a case of quiet rumours really up until the last day or two, and then maybe Arsenal trigger something. Maybe they just go and pay out what Leicester want in the final hours. Final 24 hours of the transfer window, and we know Leicester will want to get some business done as well, so we will keep an eye on that. Spanish outlet Sport claim that Barcelona have asked Hector Bellerin to wait until the end of the transfer window, where they are anticipated to up their interest in him. Now, this is a really strange one, because Bellerin was so heavily linked with Real Betis. Apparently his heart was with Betis. He'd done so well there. But I think the reality is that when Barcelona come knocking, it's very hard to ignore that. And this is a player who, I've mentioned so many times on AFTV, his ACL injury, and the recovery process, takes so long. I think when he came back, he didn't look the same player. He was in fine form when he got the injury before, which is what makes it such a shame. I think you can apply that to Rob Holding as well. But with Bellerin and Betis, apparently he wanted his contract cancelled. Apparently he wanted, basically just to get the move and get it done. Arsenal refused to just cancel a contract, and it's working out for the club brilliantly, because they wanted to, they held their nerve. They said, no, we're not going to be cancelling contracts unless the deal comes that we're happy to do for you. You're not going to go anywhere. And here we are now, Barcelona are coming in, and there's somewhat maybe a little bit of a bidding war where Betis weren't happy to pay before. Maybe they are now happy to pay. So Barcelona, listen, as I said, you don't ignore Barcelona when they come in. I don't think... Listen, I would be surprised if Barcelona pick up Hector Bellerin. I think he is just a level slightly below that. But they've been doing business that I don't really understand for a while. So we will see. Maybe Hector Bellerin for a low fee to Barcelona might be a bit of business they do, especially if Serginho Dest goes. And it sounds like he is being linked to moves away. I wonder if Arsenal will get on that last minute. I don't know. But with Dest out, maybe Hector Bellerin in is what they're saying. And lots of outlets have been linking Moussa Diaby with Arsenal as an alternative to Pedro Neto. Bayer Leverkusen remain keen to keep Moussa Diaby, according to Court Offside. It would cost a lot more to sign him than Neto, so the rumours don't really make any sense. With Moussa Diaby, I guess you could say the profile is similar to Neto. I did a video on alternatives to Rafinha, and both Diaby and Neto came into that list. And what you had was basically, two left-footed players. You could play comfortably on the left as that kind of stretching the pitch, getting to the byline, creating, getting crossed into the box. But also they can cut inside and be a goal threat. Now, I would go for Pedro Neto, because I can see he's done it in the Premier League. But Moussa Diaby's kind of reputation again, his potential is undoubtable. He's obviously a very, very good player, very good young player, will only get better. I like him, but again, as mentioned here, why would we go and pay? He'd cost more. He'd cost more than Pedro Neto. And I think the Jorge Mendes side of things is what's going to drive a much more favourable deal for Arsenal. What with a final, price at the end, but also maybe instalments and things that, quite frankly, Wolves might be able to agree to, just because they need the outgoings and they need the money in. That's just my assumption. We will see. As we know, they've spent a lot of money this summer already, so maybe they'll be inclined to sell. Bayer Leverkusen, I'm not sure, are in quite the same position. So we will see, guys. Neto, Tielemans, those are the names I think we need to pay attention to over the next week. If we got both, I have to say that would be pretty impressive. I'd be over the moon if we got both players in before the end of the transfer window. MaitlandNiles, Salah Eddingham has gone already. MaitlandNiles could be on his way. Who else? Pepe, I know we're waiting for that to potentially get over the line. Hector Bellerin. Is there anyone else? Can't think of anyone else. We know Reece Nelson's got the long-term injury, so he'll be staying. And I think we sort of heard that Arteta wanted to keep him as part of the squad, and he'll play a part, you know, in the deeper squad and in the cup games and the Europa League as well once he recovers from injury. All right, guys, we'll leave it there. If you enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button. Let us know you enjoyed it, and of course, get in the comments for your feedback as well and your thoughts on all these transfer rumours. If you haven't subscribed to AFTV, what are you doing? You're watching AFTV Transfer Daily. Don't you want the notification bell on every time there's a new video? Go and subscribe to AFTV and hit the notification bell right now. Many thanks, guys. We'll catch you on the next one tomorrow morning.
Shop for AFTV merch at shop.aftv.co.uk. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat and Twitch. We've got content for every platform, so check it out.